This is TWiT.
Ming-Chi Kuo, he's backing down on the Apple Pencil rumor. No,
dang it!
No pencil support for 2018 iPhones.
He's let us down.
Well, no, it was TrendForce.
I say kill the
Oh, they're fighting, huh?
TrendForce said the rumor. Then I couldn't tell if the China Daily was just regurgitating it or corroborating it. And now Ming-Chi Kuo says, no, stop it, both of you.
He also says, and I don't know if this is something to worry about, that the 6.1-inch model, that's the little cheap one. No, it won't be cheap, but the little less expensive one, has been reportedly plagued by production issues and will be available slightly later due to its production schedule. We heard that about the iPhone 10, and it didn't really come true, right?
The iPhone 10 shipped on November 2nd.
Oh, okay. So it was a little later.
Yeah. I mean, they announced it up front. It wasn't like they said, oh, it's coming today, and then, oops, sorry.
Right. There'll be I think we all kind of know roughly the outline of what Apple will be talking about. Probably September 12th. We've gone through that calendaring thing. And there continue to be data points bolstering that. A German telecom that said you'll be able to order your iPhone September 14th. And another one that said deliveries begin September 21st. And so I think there's, corroborating evidence that it'll be September 12th for the announcement. 3 phones, the 6.1-inch LCD, the less expensive phone, basically an iPhone 8. Some rumors say iPhone 9. They'll call it iPhone 9. I don't know. I think the latest from Gurman is, hold on that iPhone 10s or XS. Which is
it's easy. I mean, it's hard to predict because Apple literally has a name they think about. They put it on a list. Then they think of 300 other names. They try to see if any of those names are better. Right. If they're not, they stick with the one they first thought. If they are better, they switch to them. There's a persistent rumor that the MacBook was going to be called the MacBook Stealth, and they decided, no, that's just silly, and went with MacBook.
You can see it. It's not that stealthy.
As long as you can make the box in time, they can make anything they want.
Yeah, I mean, what does it matter what it's called? But that's
on Mother of Dragons.
Partly because there's not a lot to be said about the rest of it. We know 2 OLEDs, 6.5 inches and 5.8 inches. Basically, an iPhone 8 next generation, that'll be an LCD. An iPhone 10 next generation, very similar to the iPhone 10. And then a supersized 10 Plus, that'll be 6.5 inches.
What impresses me is like Apple Display, they don't get enough credit. Like a lot of people just say, oh, it's, Samsung made the AMOLED panels. But Apple, they went to all the work of bending it backwards and plugging it in so you'd get rid of the chin of the phone. And most companies now are doing like these massive notches, but still putting the chin on the phone. And Apple's about to release an LED phone that now bends backwards and gets rid of the chin. Just like from a hardware engineering point of view, especially an Apple Display team point of view, they're doing fascinating work with all of these pixels.
Yeah, but that's I'm still kind of ambivalent about the cheeks, the chins, and all these other things.
The cheeks
at
and
some
the chins.
point, I mean, at some point, you need to. You're not worried about finger touches interfering with the size of the phone because they have rejection algorithms for that. But at some point, you have to. How are you going to? Sometimes you find yourself. I find myself sort of like juggling this phone somewhere around my hand because my finger, the edge of the screen is invisible because the pad of my thumb is a little bit too close to the edge of the screen. It's kind of nice to have a little free space that doesn't belong to anybody. It's just there for my comfort and not to have to keep scrolling because there's one line of text or one letter that I don't know where it is. So I just think that it's a design choice. I don't think it's mandatory to have bezels as small as possible. I think that you make a choice on what's going to work best for the user, what's going to work best for that form factor, and you don't go to bezel-less displays simply because everybody else is doing it.
It's a notch that kills me. The notch and the chin, Andy. Like I can take a notch,
to have both.
It's the notch. Yeah, the notch and the chin. It just seems like you're doing the notch because you want to.
Yeah, you don't need it. Just make the chin smaller.
Or do what Samsung does. Samsung is great. You got an eyebrow and a chin. You're fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's see. Because we are so close to the release date, it's reasonable that the supply chain leaks would be fairly accurate, right?
Yeah, this is about the time where when I hear rumors, I'm more. I'm not going to believe any rumor automatically, but if you give me if someone shows me a picture of something that doesn't make any sense to be a picture of an iPhone, I will not dismiss it quite as quickly because we are now in the zone where there are enough people in on the secret that it can no longer be termed a secret.
This is is this Ming-Chi Kuo's chart? This is, I guess, all the specs. A12. So even the smaller iPhone will have the modern chip, right? A12.
That's consistent with what they've done in the past.
Yeah.
Like the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 10 had the same processor.
3 gigs of RAM on the iPhone 9. I'll call it the iPhone 9. 4 gigs in the two iPhone 10s.
Benjamin Mayo noted something really interesting on Twitter today, that you have basically a much lower resolution on the 6.1. That's essentially 2x, which is Apple's Retina display resolution, and the exact same thing for the 6.5 inch, but at 3x. So they're keeping the same point size, but you get twice density on the 6.1 and thrice density on the 6.5 for the OLED.
What is X? What does X represent?
So like the original iPhone had one pixel equaled 1 point. When they went to the Retina display, there was 2x, which meant that 4 pixels made 1 point. And then when you went to, I think it was the iPhone, I forget which one went to 3x first. It might have been the iPhone 10, but then you had 9 pixels for every point. And that's going to be the same thing on the OLED iPhones, but the lower priced iPhone, because it's a lower priced iPhone, is only getting 2. You'll be able to visually slightly less distinguish the pixels.
Single camera on the smaller one and dual camera on the top 2. That makes sense. Aluminum instead of stainless steel frame for the LCD version, and colors on the LCD version. That's actually the newest rumor.
It's for the
Apple
kids.
Chromatic.
Well, does that colors? Does that include the aluminum frame, like an anodized aluminum frame, or does that just the back?
We'll have to see. We
don't know.
They can anodize aluminum. Yeah, I mean they've shown that they can do it with iPods and with other things.
Is it a return to the 5C?
The 5C was interesting. Like Apple, the iPhone was this blockbuster movie that they had once a year that everyone would rush to get, and then it would taper off for the rest of the year. But iPod wasn't like that. They'd have a bit of a surge, but people would buy iPods. They were on the shelves in this clear packaging, and they'd be fun, and you could see them, and you'd buy them whenever you wanted to. And I think the 5C was, they're almost like TV series where you watch them throughout the year. And I think the 5C was an attempt to make the iPhone more mainstream, more programmatic, where it even had packaging like an iPod, and it just didn't work. And now, because they're making this very specifically, like it's a large phone. It's not smaller than the iPhone 10. It's bigger than the iPhone 10. And that really sounds to me like a product destined for the Asian markets especially, but also people who just want a primary computing device that's not that expensive. And rumors are that this might be down like at $550, which sounds like a lot of money still. But when you amortize that over a standard 0% leasing agreement, which is what a lot of the carriers in the US and other places do now, it's much lower than previous quote-unquote new iPhones. It becomes another attempt to sort of make that mainstream product that you could sell year-round.